GM friends, this is an emergency episode because we just experienced one of the first major exploits in the Cosmos ecosystem. It occurred, more precisely, on the Osmosis protocol. Almost $5 million worth of assets were withdrawn, and there was the danger that the whole Osmosis protocol could have dried out. I mean, this is actually big, and in this episode we will look at it, we will look at how this was possible, we will look at the argument of the code is law argument, and of course we will examine who was responsible for this attack and what will happen now. So make sure to watch this episode to the very end.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
So how was this all possible? Everything started with the Osmosis v9 upgrade, and because of this upgrade, people were apparently able to add liquidity to certain Osmosis pools and then remove 50% more than they initially provided liquidity for. So they provided liquidity, let's say for Atom, let's say you provided 10 Atom worth of liquidity, and when you removed your liquidity immediately, you had 50% more Atom because of it. So let us have a closer look at how this bug was spotted. The bug was mentioned on Reddit. A community member, shout out to him, he said, "Bug on Osmosis. There is a serious problem with Osmosis. If you add liquidity to a pool and then remove it, it grows by 50%. How can we fix this? Pool's empty by morning." And I mean, he's right. He was right with that, because it could have happened that Osmosis, could have actually dried out completely, because if you do this multiple times, even with small amounts of money, then all of a sudden Osmosis could have dried out. So the problem was mentioned here, and in the beginning many people did not believe in this. They said it's not true, it doesn't work, and then people tried it out and they made a lot of money. To give you a good example, here on Minscan, a user did this a couple of times. He exited the pool, he joined the pool, he exited the pool, he joined the pool, he exited the pool, and so on and so forth. He did this multiple times. I think this address managed to get 75,000 atoms out of this. So this was like crazy. He did this like multiple times. And the Osmosis community was very worried. And then at some point, the Osmosis chain got halted to prevent these actions. So the Osmosis chains got halted, and then after it was not possible to do this anymore. And they basically prevented a worst case scenario, and only $5 million worth of assets got overdrawn. And then Osmosis tweeted this. They said, 4 individuals have been identified that account for 95% plus of realized exploit amount. So what we know here is that only 4 individuals more or less were responsible for this attack, because they basically were responsible for the largest amount that got over withdrawn from Osmosis. And then they also mentioned that 2 out of the 4 individuals has proactively expressed intent to return the exploited amount in full. Okay, that's actually good news, and 2 of these people, or 2 of the individuals that proactively expressed the intent to return the exploited amount were 2 team members of Firestake. Firestake is a validator. They are on FMOS, on Civ chain, on Condex, and on many more chains. And they said, guys, we messed up. So they tweeted here, and also Sunny confirmed that they stepped forward themselves. So they reached out to Osmosis and they said, hey guys, we messed up. And here's the tweet. They mentioned, "Dear Osmosis community, many of you know about the Osmosis LP bug that occurred yesterday. In disbelief of it being real, 2 team members of Firestake started testing to see if the bug existed. Testing grew into a temporary lapse in good judgment, and in the process, we managed to convert $226 to $2 million. So they basically said, well, we tried it out. We didn't believe that this was possible, so we just tried it out. And then all of a sudden we had $2 million. It happens. I mean, it happens. So they said, okay, they became greedy, and they started to withdraw more and more and more money. But then they reached out to Osmosis and said, huge mistake, guys. We're so sorry. We messed up, which is a good thing. The only thing that I really hate about this tweet is we were thinking about our family's future and not the future of our community. I mean, the thing is, if you go to Firestake Validator, so actually this homepage is not available anymore. But I looked at this website yesterday actually, and they mentioned that they are a team of experienced computer engineers, etc., etc. And I mean, they run a validator. So I don't think that they are like living in poverty or so. So I do not like this argument at all, to be honest. Yeah, but anyway, they mentioned they said, guys, we messed completely up. And now we want to return all of the exploited amount, which is actually a good thing. But now it gets a little bit weird. Because they also said, guys, we messed up, we are so sorry, we will close all operations in the Cosmos ecosystem. And okay, they admitted their mistake, they will return all the exploited money, and then they say, okay, we will be transferring validator ownership to Kadabra Moon effective immediately. Firestake will no longer operate in the Cosmos ecosystem. And then here's a formal agreement, you can check it out, of course. If you want to, I can leave the link in the description below. But now it gets very interesting. If you look at Kadabra Moon, so the new validator that will take the ownership of Firestake Validator, exists basically since the mess happened. So they just joined Twitter recently. Nobody knows them. They have 13 followers. Nobody knows them. And the biggest or the coolest thing is the first tweet they made was a retweet. So actually this account is, I would say, a couple of hours old. Yeah, like I would say 24 hours max. So it feels very strange. And also many people in the community mentioned that. They said, yeah, so honestly, we do not need one more last minute validator. But that looks very, very weird. And I don't want to accuse something, but for me personally, this feels like I think like in Italian you would say, this feels like a bella scusa. Because you can now say, hey guys, we will give all the ownership to a new validator, and this validator is like, I would say, 24 hours old, max. And for me, it feels just so weird. And I don't want to accuse somebody, but if the Firestake Validator team sees this, we kindly invite you to the show, to the FRENS Validator show, and then you can defend yourself. But for me, it looks like that they are just trying to launch another validator, and then everything looks like as if nothing happened, and I do not really like this. I mean, to be honest, I do not see the necessity of closing their validator. I think that's not a necessity, not at all. I think if they return the funds and say, apologies guys, etc., then it's okay. But as of now, their marketing and their brand is pretty much worthless because nobody will trust them anymore. And then to say, oh, we close our validator and then we launch a new validator and then put all the operations over to this validator, this is just weird and in my view unacceptable. So again, if the Firestake Validator team sees this, come to the show, defend yourself, but this is what I'm thinking, and apparently many others in the Cosmos community feel the same. But yeah, let's move on with Osmosis. Osmosis also mentioned that all losses will be covered, so rest assured. I think that's a good news, and again, we were like kind of lucky because $5 million, yes, is like a huge amount of money, but I think you can deal with a $5 million loss. I mean, Osmosis is a very big protocol, and they managed it like very, very good, but more to that in a second. Another thing I want to highlight here, law enforcement has been notified because, I mean, 2 individuals unrevealed themselves, but there are still 2 individuals who did not reach out to the Osmosis team. I mean, as of now, so there is still some money left that we have to get, or that the Osmosis team has to get. But yeah, the law enforcement has been notified. And now, of course, many people say, oh, we shouldn't inform the law enforcement because code is law. Let's figure it out on our own. And besides, I mean, it was a bug. So it was totally justifiable to take out the liquidity and then run away with it because it was a bug and these people just took advantage of it. Well, a small input from my end here. I think that this whole code is law argument is a little bit overrated. I mean, I think that this argument should protect individuals when they get scammed, for example, or if somebody wants to see someone's addresses without any reason. I think this is something we have to talk about here. But do you really believe that with just such a broad argument and just a broad law like this, we will reach mass adoption? Definitely not. I mean, just think about your grandma. Think about your grandma, and let's say she deposits all her life savings in different pools on, let's say, different protocols, and then something like this happens. What will you tell her? Oh, code is law? Sorry, grandma, all your money is gone, all your life savings are gone. Sorry, but code is law. Happy to have you in crypto. Definitely not. This is definitely not how we will reach mass adoption, and people would have got hurted significantly. I mean, luckily, luckily it would not have affected me that much because I do not provide that much liquidity at the moment. But still, there are many people, who would have experienced Terra Drama 2.0 within a month. So I think this was actually somehow a crime, because in doubt, a lot of people would have been hurted significantly. So no, I think the the code is law argument is a little bit weak in this perspective. And of course, I also saw many people on Twitter claiming, oh, we shouldn't change something with the code because code is law and now it happened. Guys, this is not a strong argument, because this is also not how we will reach mass adoption. And it doesn't make Osmosis a trustworthy protocol if we do not fix the problems that occur. To give you a good example, let's say there's a car company and they produce an engine, and this engine is basically the religion of the company. And the company says, this is our engine, this is how we produce our engines, and we won't change anything with our engines because, our engine is law. And then something happens with the engine. So there is a huge accident, and it's proven that the engine was wrongly built, or there were mistakes or errors within the engine, and then a huge accident happens and people die. Would you ever buy this car once again? Definitely not. Definitely not, because it's just too risky. So I think it's the same thing here. We spotted the problem now, and now we need to solve it. And I think this is the only way to go to mass adoption. So this code is law thing, and we're all libertarian Bitcoin maxis. I think these times are over now. Crypto is matured. Now we have to really get everything together to thrive for mass adoption. Okay, but now the question is, what now? So Osmosis actually does a lot of things at the moment. So on the development side, they are about to release Osmosis V10, and then they will restart everything, and then most of the bugs will be fixed. And again, I mentioned it before, law enforcement has been notified in order to go after the other two individuals who were responsible for this attack as well. So this is what will happen in the next couple of days and weeks. And also, Osmosis mentioned that they will publish a more detailed analysis of what happened very, very soon. So this is very good to hear. To wrap things up, this was one of the first major exploits on Osmosis. And what I found fascinating is the fact that, even though we saw this major exploit, none of the other chains were affected. This shows once again how battle-proven IBC is and how battle-proven the vision of the Cosmos ecosystem is. And we also saw this in the Terra Drama already. So this was very, very cool to see, and it really strengthened my belief in the interchain vision. So that's the one takeaway from all this drama. And now the question is, what will happen now? Well, Osmosis is very transparent with this. They will upgrade to Osmosis V10. They will fix all the bugs. Then FRENS Validator will return the $2 million worth of assets back to Osmosis. So all of the funds, they also will be covered. And also Osmosis informed law enforcement to go after the two other individuals. Still, Osmosis mentioned that they would prefer to make a deal with these people and to deal with that internally within the Cosmos ecosystem, and they do not want necessarily. They do not want to necessarily involve law enforcement for this, which is also pretty cool. So let's hope that the other 2 individuals come back and return their exploited amounts of assets as well. But we will see. And to the Firestake validator team, I mean, if you see this, our doors here at the FRENS validator are opened. If you want to defend yourself, please do this, because in my view, it's just a very weird action to say, oh, we are closing all operations, and then all of a sudden we set up a new validator. Or I don't know if you set this validator up, but it just looks super, super, super weird, because this validator is not even 24 hours old. So yeah, if you want to defend yourselves, again, our doors are opened. And if you enjoyed this content, please feel free to give us a like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. This triggers the YouTube algorithm and leads to an atom pump on the other hand. And with that being said, I will see you on Friday.
There's a difference in, like, people were saying, like, this is one of the biggest financial scams of all times. I think there's a difference if somebody comes over and tries to actively rug you, or here we were all also aware of the risk. As you said, Sunny was also talking about this, and we believed in this, we saw an upside in this, and then it failed. I think there is a difference in actively somebody trying to do malicious acting, and here something failed.